Hey, hey, Warrior Saints. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people in with all this debauchery that's going on back here. We're having fun today. We've been talking this week about a couple of things. First is our new battle plan is live. You can find it at warriorsaints.org. And it's a plan. It's a six-part plan to help you get everything going in the right direction and leading ultimately to an exceptional life. You should check it out. I may talk more about it, but have a peek. The second thing we've been talking about this week is things don't happen to you, you do, right? Things happen because of the decisions and the choices that we make. Like we talked about Adam and Eve, how they were saying, look what God did to us because he kicked us out after they transgressed the commandments. And conversely, yesterday we talked about how the King David, after having someone put to death so that he could snatch his wife, he owned it. And so he had some control over his life going forward, whereas Adam and Eve were thrust into, out of the garden and to the dust from which they were created. What do you do in situations where things happen to you that are really outside of your control? And even more so when they're tragic, right? So to kind of put it in context, I'm going to tell you a little story about myself, and forgive me for speaking of myself, but it helps make it clear, at least in my own mind, and that is this. When I was a 7-year-old kid, my father was driving home from work and a girl was drinking. She was pounding beers and got hammered and crashed into him and killed him. And from that moment, I was 7. My sister was even younger. I was in bed when that happened. I was asleep. I was a little kid. I didn't have anything to do with that. I didn't, make him drive home. I didn't pour beer down her throat. It happened to me. And tragic as it may be, there are a couple of choices that could have been made at that moment where I could have chosen to have a debaucherous and wretched life, or I could have chosen to, really fight hard to be a good man. And unfortunately, and forgive me for sharing it, but I chose the first one for a while. I mean, my life was kind of like a train wreck. I mean, some of the things that I did, I'm definitely not very proud of, whether it's substance abuse or, the wine women song thing, or what do they say, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, all that kind of stuff. I was not on a good path. It was kind of dark. I mean, maybe I deserved it or I had earned that, or maybe it was normal. I don't know, but it's not good. And where I was heading was not good. And in a moment of his power, if you will, and I want to quote Isaiah, God smacked me hard, right across the face with a 2x4. And in the book of Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, we hear this beautiful verse in chapter 41. Fear not, I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. Right? God, in a moment, a beautiful moment, he said, it's time. Put that stuff away. Use it. It happened. You can't choose this wretched life anymore. Get your act together. And you know what? By God's grace, and with a lot of help from my mother was a rock. I don't know how she raised my sister and I, and my bride is is amazing. And I started to make some progress. I'm certainly not a finished product, right? I'm still in progress. We're all still growing and striving to become better. But I discovered that by living this crucifixional life, I didn't have to be like this. It sucked. I didn't ask my father to be killed. I would have changed it if I could have, at least at that time. But I didn't have to get stuck in it. I could live a crucifixional life and try to become an exceptional man. And though, again, I may not be exceptional, I work hard every day in that direction. And thank God, by his grace and his mercy and his commandments and his wisdom, I found a path in my own life to become a better man. And I'm trying hard each and every day to do that. All of that to be said, when things tragic happen to you, I beg you, don't choose what I chose. Choose the way of the warrior saint. I mean, that choice is put before us. We all face tragedy, whether it's the death of a loved one, a sickness, an illness, losing a job, losing a marriage, struggles with children, whatever. I mean, there's a million of them that happen. We all have a choice. We can either choose a dead-end road, or we can choose the way of the warrior saint. I can promise you, there's only one that helps you lead an exceptional life. It's the way of the warrior saint. So in order to really get myself back on track, we developed a plan. It's a 6-part plan. I talked about it at the beginning. We call it the battle plan, because there's a war, bro. There's a war going on within. And in order to win that, we've got to have a plan for the battle. Nobody goes to the battlefield and just runs out with a sword and says, let's do it. You got to have a plan. We put together this battle plan that has 6 parts. It covers the entire human being, all of our life, so that we can start to move forward towards an exceptional life. if that's something you struggle with, like this temptation to go the wrong path, check it out. It's at warriorsaints.org. I promise you will not be disappointed. We spent a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's really good. And ultimately, the key is all of it comes from God himself. I mean, I do my best to take his word and get it out there in clear and understandable ways. And I think you'll find that it's that very thing. So if you want to join the way of the Warrior Saint, it's pretty simple. Visit, join, subscribe. Let's get it. Love you, beautiful people. We will be back on Sunday for Orthros and Liturgy at 9 and 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then, of course, Monday we resume our teachings. Love you. Have a great weekend. Be safe. And as always, keep walking on the way of the Warrior Saint.